Okay, ground prep is your most important. So first you got to figure out where you want to put your pool. And then like you see here, we drove a stake and we took the measuring tape and we actually went around in a circle. This was an 18 round. And you come out a foot extra for the pool to give it space. And that's how you figure out where you're going to put your pool and if you have enough room. And also it lets the customer know where their pool would be. Once you have a rough idea where they want the pool and you're away from stuff, you can mark it with ground marking paint. And pretty much you just take the tape measure and you measure out, and then you just keep your measuring tape on that center stake and follow it all the way around. All right, we're going to use the side cutter here, start cutting it up.
In the super view, get it.
If you can, it's good to have two people rolling up the side. Our buddy was running late that day, so unfortunately it was just my brother-in-law rolling by himself, so it took a little longer. But it's nice to have someone come behind as you're rolling it, as they're rolling it, and putting in wheelbarrows and taking it off. But unfortunately, he had to do it by himself. And so we ended up just pulling the side off to the side till the other guy got there to go ahead and remove the rest of it. But it's a lot cleaner if you got two people and you can just get everything right out right then and there instead of moving it. Once you get all the sod up and everything, you want to rake and get rid of any organic material. You want to look for any big rocks, glass, anything that could be, down in the dirt, and get it all out of there, and then smooth everything out. And then you could start checking your level. Next, you want to check for level. You want to check your high spots and your low spots and see where you're at, because that'll determine on how deep you're going to have to dig. So basically just go around the circumference of the pool, and you'll be able to figure out where your low spots are and if you have any high spots, and if they have to be dug out. So we kind of lucked out. We only had a little bit of a high spot as you're looking at it up top and to the left there. So we dug it out, and our low spot was down to the right corner of the screen, and we were able to move the dirt and level it off. Okay, so once you have your bottom track and your bottom plates assembled, you want to measure around to where the 9 feet is, because this is an 18-foot pool. So you want to measure out 9 feet, and you want to make sure it lines up with the center of that bottom track, because that's where your wall is going to sit. And then you go around the entire pool, putting in stakes pretty much on next to every post where the uprights would be, to bring it in to make a complete circle. And that'll be your rough end measurement, because next you're going to want to put in the blocks underneath each of the bottom plates, and then you're going to check your level to see where you're at, and then you want to separate the track, and then you want to dig down those blocks however far it needs to be, depending on what your level is reading at. Another thing to remember, when you move your blocks to dig down, make sure you remember where your blocks were so they line back up when you put the bottom track back together. The next thing you do after you bury your blocks is to make sure that they're all level, checking with the laser level on each one. Once you have all the blocks level, you want to go ahead and put some sand in between. We use Mason sand for all of our pools, and you want to level in between the blocks with your bottom track and your bottom plates. You want to have a bottom plate on each side of a track, and just scrape on each block as you go across the entire circle to level out, so that way your bottom track isn't up in the air or anything like that. You want to make sure that it's completely level, because you don't want a pool with a low side and a high side. So that's what we're doing right here. Once you level in between the blocks, you can go ahead and assemble the bottom track all the way back together. And then I always like to double check the measurements again and make sure we're where we need to be. Next, you want to start bringing your sand. And what you'll do, you'll just take one of the bottom tracks out so you can get the wheelbarrow in, and you'll fix that at the end where you were coming in with the sand and the wheelbarrow. But right now, you're going to make a cove, and try not to get it too close to the tracks where it falls in between where you got to put the wall. Otherwise, you got to scrape out the sand. So you're just going to go all the way around the track, making like a cove, and then you're going to bring in sand through the rest of it, and you're going to smooth it all out and level it. And you want about 3-inch base of mason sand. Next, you want to lay out your wall hooks and get those hammered into the ground, because your next step after this is going to be bringing the pool wall into the center there. And if you can, try and find a piece of cardboard or use the box that it came in and lay it in the center. That way you can rotate the wall a lot easier without it digging down into the dirt. And that's what we're doing here. We're just getting everything all prepped and getting the stakes in, ready to hold the wall, so that way if there's wind or anything, and it'll hold still, the wall won't blow down, and you'd have a very unhappy customer. So it's always good to have these. Next thing you want to do, you're going to have 3 people at least, and the guy in the middle is going to hold the pool and help you unravel it as you get it out, and the guy on the outside, he's going to get the tripod and hold the pool on the end with that, as you see here. At least that's how we do it. And then the guy on the outside is going to put the wall inside the track as you move it and pull it out, and he's going to put wall hooks every step as you go to support the wall, so that way it doesn't fall down on you. And you're just going to work your way all the way around the pool, and just be careful to lift the pool wall up high enough to get over your cove, because you don't want to knock the sand into your track, because then you have to spend time trying to dig the sand out and it becomes a pain. Also, with used pools like this was actually a used pool install. Just make sure you check everything before you accept the job. Make sure that everything looks good. This pool was pretty decent. There was only some parts that we had to fix and some hardware that was missing, but overall it was a pretty decent pool and went together pretty good. And so you just work your way all the way around the pool until you come to the center where they match up. And then that's when you'll go ahead and both people will get out of the center there, and only one person will be left inside to do the wall bolts from the inside. The other two will go ahead and start getting the uprights on and finish helping do the bolts from the outside. And then the person on the inside will start pushing the cove up against the wall. You want at least 6-inch cove. And then you're going to start tamping the sand out. So once you got the sand up against the wall inside, you want to have it on an angle. You want to angle it down roughly about 6 inches, and then tamp the rest nice and flat.
Starting to look like a pool.
Another thing I wanted to mention, with the wall bolts there, see how it's all taped up nice and good. I always run 3 to 4 strips over the inside of the bolts there. That way it protects it against the liner, because you don't want them rubbing against the liner or being directly against it. And then you just want to wet down the inside of the pool. As you see, I already tamped the cove, but you want to be able to tamp the rest of the pool and get it nice and flat, and then spray it again just to sink the sand down and get it nice and compact. After you get it nice and tamped down, you're going to spray it again, and then you're going to go over it with a broom and sweep it out and make it really nice and flat and level. And then you want to spray it one more time before putting the liner in.
You got me that cold water?
So this is the tricky part, when you don't have room to lay the liner out to let the sun hit it and then wrap it up and then put it back in. You actually have to try and unfold it as much as you can on the outside, and then bring it into the pool. Make sure you lift it up over all the uprights and the wall itself. You don't want it sitting on anything, because you can easily cut the liner if you touch the wall or any of the uprights with it, because they are sharp, so you got to be careful. And then once you got it inside the pool, you'll have one person in each end hold it, and then the guy in the middle will be the one to go ahead and start putting the liner on the wall. This one just happened to be an overlap, so this is a little bit more trickier. You have to pretty much try and figure out about 8 to 12 inches of overlap on the outside and try and keep it even all the way around. That way when you turn your air on, you can see where you're at, where the liner's sucking. If it's too tight, you gotta let it out a little bit, or if it's too loose, you gotta pull it over the side a little bit more. But you got these little plastic coping strips that you put on to hold an overlap liner to keep it in place as you go around and do this. And then the wall hooks will also hold the liner and the wall as you go around. With a beaded liner, it basically just sits right on the wall, so it's a little easier, but still it doesn't take much to go ahead and get it done. It just takes a little bit more time, but you'll see. Basically, from this point, it's just like doing a regular liner install. As you can see in some of my other videos, you go ahead and put your stabilizer bars on with your top plates, and then you go ahead and attach your top rails, and then once all of them are on, except where the skimmer and the return is, you leave your top rails off so you can access the skimmer and put that on, and then also cut out your return. Other than that, pretty basic. The hardest part is the beginning when you're trying to get your level, because everything else is built off of that. Your pool won't go together right if you don't have it correctly leveled and your blocks set. So just take your time when you first start and get everything going. That way the rest of the job will be nice and smooth for you. But if you guys haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. I hope you guys like the videos. I'll post more. I'll do more in-depth videos on certain parts of the pools. I've been having a lot of people ask me about specifically like the skimmer or how to cut out the return. I'll start posting some more videos like that. But once again, thank you for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, share, and make sure to hit that notification bell to go ahead and get future videos. And once again, I appreciate you guys watching.
You can't say goodbye without saying goodbye to me.
Alright, Olaf. We'll see you on the next one. Alright, bye, Obo.
Hi, guys.